So in this video, we're going to talk about the super important final ingredient in getting your ski boots to fit well. We're going to talk about liners. So hello and welcome back to my channel. You join me here in Seoul Boot Lab in Chamonix for the fourth and final episode in this series, which is all about getting the ideal fit with your ski boots. If you haven't seen the other videos in this series, I'd strongly recommend that you go and check those out first. I'm going to leave a link for those up here and also down in the description. In previous videos, we spoke about category selection and then how to choose the correct model out of any given category. Then we also spoke about footbeds and also sizing the shell that you're going to be using. So liners are really the third ingredient in getting your boots to fit well. There are many different types of ski boot liners out on the market, and there are also lots of opinions about liners as well. Essentially, all a liner does is take up that dead space between the inside of the shell and your foot. An ideal fit should lock you into the boot without cutting off circulation or impeding your ability to just wiggle your toes a little bit. Remember, when you're getting liners to fit, there isn't really a common reference point for us to talk about in terms of tightness. Tight for one person might be loose for somebody else, just as a curry might be super spicy for that person, but for somebody else it might be mild. But the point of this video is to help you understand what's out on the market so you can make better decisions when you buy your ski boots. So first off, let's talk about stock liners. So a stock liner is a liner that will come with the ski boot when you purchase it. They come in all different shapes and sizes and thicknesses, but let's start with race boot liners. So a race boot liner like this is generally very thin, and that puts you as close to the shell as possible so you have maximum feeling of what's going on with the ski boot. They're typically made of leather and they're filled with cork and oil, and that means that they will shape and mold to the shape of your foot as you ski. Because these are super thin, they're not very warm, so they've got very limited use for backcountry skiing or high mountain skiing. These are quite good for feeling if there's any pressure points from the shell, and then you can put an aftermarket liner in afterwards when you've figured out the shell fit. A downhill alpine boot liner like this is much thicker to accommodate that larger shell size that you find in that category of boots. Being a bit thicker generally also means they're a little bit warmer, and they can also be a little bit more cozy as well. But cozy straight out of the box might also lead to a sloppy fit after a few days of skiing. So be a little bit aware if your boots are super comfortable on the first day. There's a lot of variation in alpine boot liners like these, but generally the more that you spend on the boot, the better the liner is. Higher quality liners like this will last longer and give you a better fit for that duration as well. Alpine touring boot liners are generally the same as alpine boot liners, but they have a bellow at the back here, which allows you to access the range of motion in tour mode. Hybrid and free touring liners like this is generally where you're going to start to notice a big difference when you hold the liner in your hand. These are much lighter than a downhill or a alpine touring liner because this category of boot is really driven by weight. A lot of people find that to be an incredibly important metric when buying that category of boot, so they can definitely shave a lot of grams off the liner like this. The downside of a liner like this though is that they are thinner and they're made of less dense foam, which can pack out a lot quicker. These liners generally aren't designed to last hundreds of days of skiing. I personally prefer to have a slightly beefier liner in my alpine touring boot because I find that that really improves that class of boot to be something that you can use kind of all season. Free mountaineering liners like this are even thinner and lighter. Basically, you can think of this as like a thick sock that you stuff in your ski boot. It's not really going to last very long, and this foam is going to pack down super fast. However, it's super light, so if you're looking for the lightest liner out there, this is what you're going to be looking for. So that's what to generally expect from stock liners, and remember, just because the liner comes with the boot doesn't necessarily mean it's the best option for you and the type of skiing that you're going to be doing. Now let's have a look at the next category of liners, which are aftermarket liners. Aftermarket liners are either a liner that you'll buy with the boot as an immediate upgrade, or you'll buy them at a later stage as an upgrade, or to replace the worn out stock liners that you have. They fall into three main categories, and those are injection liners, thermo liners, and zip fit liners. Injection liners are basically bladders that are filled with expanding polyurethane foam. The advantages are you can get 100% accuracy to the shape of your foot, so you can't really get a better fit. The disadvantages are they are pretty heavy when they've been molded, and they're super solid at the back as well, which means that you can't use them in a touring boot. They're also incredibly difficult to get symmetry between both your left and right foot, so it's a very difficult process to get right. They also aren't renowned for being the warmest of liners out there. These are perfect for racers or those who are looking to get the best fit from their alpine downhill boots. Thermo liners, such as these and other ones from Palau and Conformable, are made of heat moldable foam that can be cooked in an oven for a specific amount of time at a specific temperature, and then you can mold them inside the shell of your boot by putting your foot inside. They come in two different designs, wrap liners like this and tongue liners like this. As a rule of thumb, wrap boots work better with a tongue liner and tongue boots work better with a wrap liner. This comes down to how you actually put the boot on. So with a tongue boot, you generally don't want to have to stuff the tongue into the gap where the tongue is on the boot. Also with a wrap boot, it's generally easier to pull up on the tongue to open that boot up and slide your foot in. Wrap liners have the benefit of having better accessibility to the flex of the ski boot because you're right up against the front of the shell. With wrap boots, like a traditional ski boot, you can generally put a wrap or a tongue liner in, and which one you go for will come down to kind of your personal preference. So for me, I generally prefer a tongue liner over a wrap liner, but other people have different opinions. There are some big advantages to a thermo liner for those who are heading out into the backcountry, and that can make these a really great upgrade after you've bought a custom footbed, for example. Thermo liners are generally regarded as some of the warmer liners out on the market, which can be a big benefit for backcountry skiers. They are also reasonably light and the lightest out of the aftermarket liners that are out on the market. They come in different densities and thicknesses, so I definitely recommend talking to your boot fitter about which model would work best for your boot and your foot. Thermomolding these liners at home is possible, but it's never going to be as good as doing it at a boot fitter's. Think about, cooking at home versus eating in a really nice restaurant. There aren't many disadvantages to these types of liners. I would say though that some people do find them a little bit sweaty. So the final type of liner to talk about is zip fit, and that is a type of liner and a brand in itself. They're made of leather and they're filled with cork and oil, and that can give you a good custom fit from skiing around in the liner, but they generally aren't as warm as thermo liners. They're also the most expensive aftermarket liner out on the market, but they can last you a long time. So that's all the different types of liners that are out there, whether they're aftermarket liners or they're stock liners. I would strongly recommend that you come to somewhere like this, Soul Boot Lab in Chamonix, and talk to these guys about liners and what's going to work best for you. Remember, liners wear out faster than the ski boot shell, so it's not uncommon to have 2 or 3 sets of liners throughout the duration of that boot's lifetime. So we're going to wrap it up here. Pun intended. I really hope you enjoy this video series. It's actually been a lot of fun to make, and it's been really interesting for me to learn a little bit more as well. If you have any questions about ski boots or boot fitting, then head down there and leave a comment, and either myself or the guys from Soul Boot Lab will try and respond. I've still got lots of plans for videos coming out over the next few months and also this winter, so make sure you head down there, hit that subscribe button, turn on bell notifications, and that way you won't miss those future videos. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.